I tell people all the time, we didn't find cops, cops found us. That's the biggest thing. My mom says that too, because they just kind of just showed up. They kind of stepped in and kind of guided, my mom and me and Chandler into a world that we were not, ready for. But as the years went by, it kind of was just like, man, these people are literally went through the same exact thing we went through. Like, how can we not be accepted?
Hello, everybody. This is Blake Haynes, a multimedia specialist with National C.O.P.S. And on this episode of the C.O.P.S podcast, I've got James and Chandler Haynes, the sons of South Carolina Highway Patrol Lance Corporal James Haynes II, EOW 21 of 2008. James tragically fell in the line of duty on this day, accidental death. Guys, how's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Doing pretty good, man.
Both of you are in college, so congratulations. I mean, you guys are doing great. It seems like. James, you're at Clemson, and Chandler, I can't remember where you're at. Where are you at?
Coastal Carolina.
Awesome. So, guys, to start out, just kind of tell me about, you guys are so young. Chandler, you just turned 6. James, you were 8, getting ready to be 9. Kind of take me back. Do you guys have any memories of the day, that week?
Yeah, like you said, I was only 6, but I remember a good bit because, of course, that being my father, that was a big part of my life. So even though I was young, I still kind of somewhat knew what was going on. Like just seeing, like after my mom told me, just seeing all the cops there, I knew something was wrong. Plus she was crying too, of course. So that's when I definitely knew something was wrong. But other than me being young, like it still plays a big part of my life just because, like, obviously, I'm not over it, but I definitely, of course, I still think about him. But it definitely plays a big part of my life just because he still played a big part of my life. It's not like he wasn't in my life. He was a great father. I've heard nothing but positive stuff about him since day one, and I really appreciate everything he did just because of seeing the impact he's made on other people and just everything that the C.O.P.S organization have done for us from day one. That just shows me he was really a good person. And it shows that the C.O.P.S really care for their people and they care for, what happened to us and the other people that lost their parents in like a tragic accident or something.
James, I mean, what do you remember about, that day? Maybe even take a little further, like the days after. Like, can you remember like kind of what took place and what was going through, your day to day? I mean, again, you're just a couple years older than Chandler at the time.
Yeah, I think for me, I remember it was like a Friday. So, me and Chandler were getting amped up, trying to get ready for school. But I think our mom usually comes and wakes us up around a certain time. And I realized that she didn't, come upstairs and wake us up. And I was kind of like, something's off. And I kind of went downstairs and I started calling her name. The person that walked out wasn't my dad, but it was a female in the suit that he wears every day. So I was like, okay, something's really up. And I walked in her room. She just kind of had this blank stare on her face, staring in the mirror. And I was like, okay, what's going on? And then she kind of walked me out the room, set me down on the couch and kind of let me know what was going on. Of course, I cried. She hit me with, dad's went up to heaven. He's moved on and got in a bad accident. So kind of took that in, and me, the person I am, I kind of just checked in survival mode and went upstairs. Like Chandler said, we told him. My mom told the bulk of it, and I was just there. I told him like, yeah, Pops is gone. And kind of throughout the day, like he said, just seeing more cops show up, it was kind of like more of a reality check. A lot of family members showed up. I remember my uncles coming, and once I saw them, I was like, yeah, something is definitely bad. And just like for the days after, I think a cool story my mom always tells me, she was like, I was very anxious and wanted to see like his car and see the scene and different things. And they showed it on the news probably like a day or two after. And she finally was just like, just let him see it, and I saw it and kind of just moved on. It was like, okay, that was the confirmation I needed. So those are kind of the days, within the accident and how I took it in. And just being around family, that was the biggest thing. So kind of took my mind away from it at the same time, seeing all my cousins show up. And I look at my cousins as like my older siblings. I'm pretty sure Chandler can say the same thing. So with me being the oldest, just having them around, that kind of helped out a lot too.
You have that family dynamic that's going on, like you're going to talk about. And James, I know I've talked with you outside of this interview. One thing that you always kind of come back to is not just, your family, right? Not just, your extended family, like your uncles and obviously your mother and them, but you always bring it back to like your blue family and what they've kind of done and made that impact on your life. When did that blue family kind of come about? Like, when did that start?
I tell people all the time, we didn't find cops, cops found us. That's the biggest thing. My mom says that too, because they just kind of just showed up. And I give credit to the South Carolina cops, Miss Beverly Coates and Miss Rails and her husband. They kind of stepped in and kind of guided, my mom and me and Chandler into a world that we were not, ready for. But as the years went by, it kind of was just like, man, these people are literally went through the same exact thing we went through. Like, how can we not be accepted? And just the person that our mom is, she's very open. She doesn't do too much. She'll put you in your place. But when somebody is genuinely trying to help you and looking out for you, she's all open for it. And that's kind of how we took it and ran with it. And I've met incredible people, incredible peers, incredible mentors, and it's been second none. So I always give credit where credit's due, and they definitely played a big role in just helping me along the years. And going to kids camp and then going to young adults, that was my favorite part of the summer. And, I was always caught up in football, training, trying to get ready for the season while I was still in high school, and of course my first 2 years of college. But that was the ultimate best part of my summer. Vacation, doesn't matter. I knew once it was time to go to camp, I was like, man, let's do it. So it's awesome.
Chandler, what about you? What were you thinking? Like, you're 6 years old, you've got these two complete strangers walking up and coming into your life.
I didn't really know what to expect, really. I had if you would have asked me like at the time would I expect any of this to happen, I would have told you like no, because I didn't expect like nearly half the stuff that's happening to me to happen just from the college stuff and just from all the activities we're gonna do and all the people I were gonna meet. Like cops has opened a whole new world for me, honestly, just from being just so helpful and just giving me more than enough opportunities just to do better in life. And honestly, just to make it seem like not such a bad thing, even though I did lose him, but it also opened a window for better opportunities. And I've met so many new people. I've met like a lot of survivors, obviously, and just other people with like similar stories, because not everyone lost like their parents. Some people lost like their best friend or like something like that. So it was really cool just seeing like I wasn't alone, and it was really cool just like meeting new people and just seeing people with the same story as me and just seeing how much people really care about like police officers. That was really cool.
Yeah. And some of the stuff you're talking about, like with being able to relate and saying, hey, they've got a similar story as me. Like, at what age do you think along your kind of like journey that you said, hey, this kid who's sitting right next to me at camp, like, she gets it. Like, she knows exactly, if not exactly, but similar to how I feel.
I think probably like that first cops trip to Washington, D.C., I guess I was like 7 at the time. I'm not 100% sure. But just all the kids, like we were in a therapy session, and all the kids told their story. And that's when I really realized, like, dang, like they went through the same thing I did. And, some of them was like a little worse. Like some, I guess, like their parent got like shot or just ran over or just something like that. And that was just like really eye-opening. And I felt for them, and I just, and I wanted to be for them. And that's what made me want to be more engaged with like cops and stuff, seeing other kids, what they went through. And it definitely brought us closer at the same time.
Right. James, tell me sitting there through, some of those big events. Like, tell me what it was like hearing your dad's name called, and what was that like for you?
That first DC trip, man, I kind of remember it kind of vividly. Just just like a bunch of good memories, man. I remember like we drove the whole way. I'll start off with that. Just saying we had two of my dad's co-workers, Trooper Nick King, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but Trooper Nick has been in me and Chandler's lives for a long time, so I definitely got a shout out to him. Just kind of them, taking me, my mom, and our grandmother who was living with us at the time, just kind of taking us to DC, and me and Chandler grew up going to the Virginia and DC area a lot with our aunt living up there, my mom's sister, so we were kind of already like we've already been in that environment, but this was just 10 times different. It was big time. And being a part of the events, like Chandler said, being in some of those therapy sessions, going to the academy with all the other kids and having a blast, having a good time, seeing all the SWAT stuff, that was just cool, man. I think the biggest thing I can compare it to is just how me and Chandler actually went back to DC for the first time in like 10 years to be a part of the actual police week this past October when we had it in October due to COVID. So just being able to go to that and see kind of the major differences and being, a young adult and an adult child now to being, kids back then, it's kind of like, man, like I didn't realize some of the stuff when we were here a handful of years ago. And now just kind of being able to do our own thing, kind of do a little bit of sightseeing and just be around other survivors who went to DC and done it multiple times. And we kind of just had our own ordeal going. And that goes back to that question you asked me earlier about, the Blue family. Is just, man, it's awesome. Just being able to kind of just zone out a little bit and chill out and relax. And, even though we're here for a tragic reason, it's like, man, being in each other's company is amazing. And so DC was, that was definitely eye-opening, like Chandler said, and just kind of sitting basically in a big boat of people, just, trying to go along for the ride. You don't know what's going to happen next, but we're going to see.
What were your feelings like the first time you walked into camp? I mean, you've got all these other kids there, and I mean, what was it like?
Listen, all I can tell you is my first ever mentor was Joe Hamer, and that should be all the explanation you need. And I hope he hears this. But man, Joe made it, so comforting, and I thank him for that every day. And I honestly just texted with him probably like a week or two ago because I'm up here at Clemson, in school, but I'm also working with the football team. And he just texted me. He was like, man, no matter where I'm at, I'm always cheering for those Tigers. And, just it's just those small gestures. And having that relationship with him for now, basically since my dad passed away, so 13, 14, 15 years now. And having him on that first day from camp, my very first day at camp to now, has been amazing, man. I went to camp, 9 years old, and now I'm 23. So just having that long relationship with him, he was definitely the person that made, that first impression of cops and what they're about. But kids camp, just from an overall perspective, the activities, the counseling sessions, everything from top to bottom. I give shout outs to everybody. Aaron, Miss Angie McCown, Super Steph, everybody. They did a great job in just keeping everybody in line and keeping the main thing and what we need to do, what we need to talk about. And, always making it a comfort setting to where, if you don't want to speak on it, then we don't have to. But just know there's people in the room who's been through the same exact thing that you've been through. And hearing your story would probably help them open up a little bit more about telling their story. So it was always an eye for an eye, just, kind of more of an exchange to helping somebody else. So definitely got you out your comfort zone a little bit. And it definitely helped me, over the years, just trying to, continue to be myself.
Going from that to the young adults camp, and as you're developing, I mean, is your grief changing? And if so, like, how did that retreat kind of assist you with those changes?
It gets easier to talk about it every year. Of course, the first year is the hardest, but every year you got new people and new stories to tell. So every year it definitely got easier. I used to not enjoy talking about it just because I was so young and I barely really knew anything about them. But just from all the stories people have told me, I think that's just given me enough confidence. Like it's helped me remember stuff about them, but even if I don't remember, I still got plenty of stuff people tell me, like my mom tells me stuff about them all the time. So that's always good. And just from like hearing other people's stories, like it definitely helps me cope because I know it's not easy for them. So like I'm always giving them all my attention. So I always try my best to just help them talk about it the best way they can because I used to be in their shoes. So going from kids camp to young adults camp, that wasn't like the hardest transition, but only thing about it was really just, I guess the hard part about it was really just hearing just the more difficult stories from people. I definitely don't say I'm the most emotional person, but hearing some of them stories, man, it's tough, but it definitely feels good just like seeing people that used to be like me were just kind of like close, open up, like talk about it more and more. So that's good because you can tell they're getting comfortable, and I'm glad they can like speak to me about it or like just other people like me.
So do you see yourself being some sort of that kind of shoulder to lean on, so to speak?
Yeah,
Like, hey, and if so, like kind of talk to what do you kind of get back from that?
I just want to be that person that's like that shoulder to lean on, someone that they can talk to about anything that they ain't got to worry about like me like squealing or anything about because at the end of the day that's their business, and it's up to them whether you want them to like know about it or not. So I know like somebody tells me something, like if they don't want to get out, I'm not gonna tell anybody. If they do, if they're open to it, then hey, we can talk about it all day if they want to. So I definitely want to be like that mentor that just says like, we can talk about it if you want to. If you don't want to talk about it, they don't have to.
So I mean, James, you've been a mentor. What made you want to give back in that way? And
The main thing on why I wanted to do it is because of my experiences, man. When I graduated from high school, I kind of sat down with my mom and my family, and they were trying to help me figure out what my major was going to be. I was one of those on the brink of 2 or 3 different ones, and we came down to me wanting to be a teacher, and that's what I went to school for my first 2 years. I enjoyed being in the classroom, being around, kids that are younger than me and kind of helping them, guiding them along, being in that mentor role. So it's kind of already written. Worked at the YMCA my whole high school career. Anytime I wasn't playing football or in season with any sport, I was working at the Y as a counselor. And I was working with kids from kindergarten up to 6th grade. And I was like, man, this age group is just perfect for me. Of course, being involved in camp every year, I would always run up and tell Aaron, I'm like, when I turn 21, I'm going to be a mentor. Like, you have to make me a mentor. And the first couple of years, she's like, yeah, whatever. And then, of course, as I got older, my last year young adult, she was like, yeah, we're not, the job is yours. You're fine. Just come back and see me. So once I got there, it was kind of like easy money. Like being able to work with Jalil, and man, we got tons of stories together growing up through camp. So Jalil Dukes from Louisiana, man, that's my guy. So being able to work with him, we were ready to tear each other's heads off just because we never like done any kind of collaborative work. We've always cut up and laughed the whole time. So when it was time to actually like get projects done and do things for a big group of people, we kind of were like, man, we're going to kill each other if we don't get this done. So kind of being in that environment, because we were doing campfire skit prep, that was fun. And being able to be around all the kids, not just one set. And I think that's the biggest thing that I enjoy in being a mentor or a monitor in this case, just having a variety of group of kids to be around every day. I don't have to be solidified with just one group. Another thing is I was able to do young adults camp as a mentor. I was 22, 21. Kids were like 17, 16 years old. And I'm like, man, we're not that, much far apart when it comes to age. But all of them just kind of looked at me with the eyes of wisdom and were like, bro, like we've heard tons of stories about you. And, whatever you got, we want to hear it. So just hearing that from them, that was kind of awesome, being in that kind of role and kind of being like the older brother rather than the mentor guy, just kind of, taking them and bringing them along. So that was definitely fun.
looking into like future stuff, I mean, Chandler, do you see yourself? I mean, is that something that you're looking to do? And if so, why?
I definitely want to be like involved in the future. And my only thing about it is just I have no idea what I do because I really want to do anything. Like, I mean, everything. But if I really had to like come down and choose, I would definitely pick probably like either probably like kids camp just because they're younger and I don't want to say they don't have a full understanding because like when I was young, I don't like when people say, oh, he's just young, he doesn't know. Like I was 6 years old and I knew exactly what was going on. So I I want to be like that person them so knows like just because y'all are young doesn't mean like y'all don't know anything less because I was just in your shoes. So I just want them to know like we know what you're like, we understand what you're going through, you know, and if you have any problems, you know, you can come to me about it. They really try to just make the most fun out of it too. Cause like when I was young, I knew I was, you know, I didn't want to be sad about it. I was really just trying to make the most of it. So I really just want to make it like a good time, a good experience for them.
And I know, James, you've kind of kicked around, maybe even getting involved somewhat locally with like your local chapter. And I mean, I was at AC retreat. You've got all the adult children's chanting James for Prez. I mean, is that something maybe in the future you're looking to do? Is kind of try to climb that ladder, so to speak, and get heavily involved?
As much backlash as I try to give on me not doing it, I don't have really much of a choice. But but on a serious note, I mean, that's something I'd love to do. I don't mind it. I guess, you know, for me, I take pride in kind of being the youngest in the room, you know, in certain aspects. You know, I'm serving right now on the strategic planning committee. I was able to go to San Antonio, Texas, probably about 2 years ago and kind of sit and talk with them and, you know, what the future of cops really is. And that was kind of a joy because I was 20, 21 years old at the time. And they just, you know, gave me the opportunity to come and speak and share little words of wisdom. And that was awesome. And now moving forward, just, you know, being able to meet guys like Emilio and Miares down in Miami, Florida, kind of, you know, collaborate with him and talk over some things. That's kind of awesome because he's already been serving in that presidential role. And now he's the current past president. So serving from that's been kind of awesome. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. You never know. I'm kind of trying to get my career off the ground first with this football stuff. So we'll see how that goes. And probably moving forward, maybe we might have something in the works.
Chandler, can you speak to maybe, is there a moment that you had at one of these retreats that really just sticks with you and you're like, that's my moment, and you really kind of took off from there or built from there?
I'm trying to think. I don't have a specific moment, but there are like a lot of people that I've met like down the line, like Kenny Santucci. He's been like my best friends ever since like my first time going to Kids Camp, and we've gone to all the events together. Growing up with him, that's really helped me just because like that's like my cops brother, and I feel like we definitely gotten the closest more than any other people, and or any other people I've met. But yeah, I haven't really had like a specific moment just because every year I just love going. It seems like every year it gets better, honestly. So I'm always just looking forward to the next and just creating new memories, honestly.
James, you want to kind of talk about yours? I know you've got you both kind of have like kind of a group, I would say. I mean, you've got Jaleel and like you spoke about, but I mean, do you want to kind of hit on some of that stuff and how that's kind of developed you along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I got a long list of names, man. Kenny's right there in that list, and the whole Santucci family, man. They're like Chandler said, though, that's solidified, like brother. Like whether it doesn't matter what the deal is, that's our brother, and his two younger siblings too. I look at them as my siblings as well. So biggest thing I will say is, you know, I got a long list of people, but I think the main group is always, you know, Jaleel, like I spoke on earlier. Smitty, that's my guy. You know, he's right there from South Carolina with me and Chandler. And luckily, the most ironic thing is, you know, our dads were classmates in high school, and both of them ended up tragically getting killed in the line of duty. So that was kind of like an eye opener for us. As me and Smitty were like a part of the first 13, you know, people to attend the first ever young adults camp. So we kind of take that memory and run with it. And we've been able to kind of continue to build and grow from that. And me and him went to adult children's together. We traveled to every single young adults together, you know, and then once Chandler got old enough, he tagged along with us. So big shout out to Smitty. And then just at kids camp, there was a lot of people that I talked to. I know mainly I was always with Alexis Stewart, you know, from New York. That big group, and then my whole 13 and 14-year-old years, I remember just being around like Josh Wirtz from Pennsylvania, Devin Wood from Chicago. Just it's a long list of people, man. And anybody I missed out, I apologize. But all those guys that I came up with, and girls, of course, that I came up with, it was always a blast. So I give a shout out to everybody that I came across while being at camp.
And I guess going to talk about, I mean, not so much about the people in particular, but what is it having a group or maybe just a person that you can kind of lean on? Like, what does that? I mean, what does that do for you? Like, what I mean.
I will say another name, and I said it and I mentioned it earlier, but like Angie McCown, I don't think she realizes the type of impact that she has on a lot of people. And ironically, our mom's name is Angie, so I mean it sticks hand in hand. And I always say I call her Mama Ange because that's who she is. She sets it down, authority, but she's one that's ready to party. She can get crazy at any time, and I love that. And she's just been a great help. I could say it for me. I'm pretty sure Chandler could say it as well. Just kind of guiding us along, and always being in the back pocket. It seems that no matter what event it is, she's always there. Some people miss out on different years and kind of get behind on some memories, but I mean every year at kids camp, Angie was there. Every year young adults, Angie was there, and even at adult children, Angie was there. So she's one. Super Steph is one. Michael Stolzman, I know we missed him last year, but my first year of young adults, might have been second year, can't remember, but ever since he became a mentor, he's been one. I mean, Mike almost made me tear up probably last year because he lives out in California and it's 3 hours apart, time difference, being over here on the East Coast of South Carolina. He texted me, he was like, man, I woke up at 5:30 in the morning just to make sure I watched your graduation on live. And it's just, again, those little small things, man. But just having those people in my corner, and that makes me keep going. I do the same thing with family, man. Seeing Chandler now being in college, man, that was big for me. And I probably talked to him on the phone for like an hour or so, just letting him know, like, bro, I know I probably got on your nerves all the time growing up. Like you got your dream, bro. You say you want to go to Coastal, you made it. So just little small things like that, man. And just always having those people in my corner, though, that keeps me going. I'm always full of growth, man.
Taylor, like, what have you seen in your brother, like from where he was when you guys were young to now? Like, what kind of path has he been on, and what have you seen that he's been able to get from the COPS organization?
I think he's definitely, of course, he's grown, but like I think he's always been on the right path. He's always been a very like driven person. So seeing stuff that's happened to him hasn't really surprised me because I'd say he's definitely just he's always had his mind on like one thing, always had goals, and he meets them. He's very driven, and I feel like it's a very good quality to have, and I'm proud of him, of course. But anytime like something like happens, like he'll call me and be like, "Hey," like when he told me he got the job, I was like, "Man, nothing new, man. He's always been on. He's just always been on the right track, and seeing him progress, like going from like just better things every day. It's nothing new, but I'm very proud of him, of course. And it's made me go harder in a way too, because I know I can do the same thing, and I've got plenty of goals too I'm still trying to get to. So just it's very motivating.
And like to kind of work it back in here, if your dad, if you could speak for your dad right now and he could see your brother, what do you think he would say to your brother?
Say like he's doing a great job, keep it up. And just I think he would be very happy to see he's doing what he loves at his dream school. And he's always, been proud of him since day one because he's always been doing good stuff, from volunteer work and just having just different jobs, always just trying to like make a difference. So I think he'd be very proud. He's doing a great thing, especially like right now. Just keep achieving his dreams.
Yeah. James, what do you think your dad would say to Chandler?
All right. Chandler, I mean, he definitely would say, "You the rebel child. You are the rebel child." But your work is paid off. You've done major things, and as much as you continue to grow and find yourself, it doesn't matter what the deal is. You always find a way to get yourself into something, and whether it's good or bad, you always find a positive in both. Another thing he would say is, you really don't care what people have to say. You're gonna go out and you're gonna do what you need to do. It's good and sometimes it's bad and sometimes, but at the end of the day, I mean, you always are self-driven and you find a way to get it done. And he would be proud of that, Again, whether it's good or bad, he'd be proud of what you've done. And again, like I spoke on earlier, the biggest thing is now you in college, man. And growing up, our family has always been on Chandler because sometimes he'll say something and be like, Chandler, did you mean to say that? And you kind of got to double back and think with Chandler. But like, bro, I tell you, man, he'd be so happy to see you got into your dream school. I know you still looking to probably get into some ball. Whether you play or not while you're in college, man, you're there. And now mom can say and dad can say they got not one son but two sons with a college degree. Hopefully by next year, so that he'd be astounded right now.
If you didn't have that blue family to kind of go through some of this process, I mean, where do you see yourself?
Man, I'd be doing the same thing, man. One person that I probably haven't like shouted out yet that I need to is our mom. She's 100% the go-getter. She'll give you she'll tell you what you need to hear, put her foot down whenever she needs to, and her brothers will back her up, her sisters will as well. So our aunts and uncles played a big role, for me and Chandler. And my mom's sister as well. She lives out in Philadelphia, but she always texts me and Chandler all the time, tries to keep up with us. And my Uncle Doc, which was my dad's best friend, he's my godfather. He basically Chandler's godfather as well. All of our, family has done a great job of just making sure we stay on the right track. And I promise you, I'll be sitting in the same seat that I'm sitting in right now, trying to make sure I get to where I'm at. Really no drop off, man. But all the Blue family did was put an extra stamp on there and just help me solidify who I am and kept me motivated. But I'm self-driven, man. Family is big for me, as you know. Just being able to have everybody in the corner, man, that's been the biggest plus for me. And again, it wouldn't have been no drop off. I would have been doing the same thing. Like Chandler said, man, he was like, once you got the job, I was like, okay, like we didn't no need to celebrate. We already knew what time it was. So it's just little things like that. Hearing those kind of words, man, it's just like, man, you know what I'm doing. I'm not doing it for no reason, man. This is what I'm here to do. So I'm going to continue to go get it.
Chandler, what about you? I mean, you have anything like you can say that kind of gave you that building block from your Blue family to kind of get to where you're at?
The college assistants, that gave me a lot of drive too, just seeing like I have the opportunity to go to college and make something of it. Definitely that really gave me all the confidence I need because it's really right there, right in front of me. I just go and take it. And just seeing like just what my brother has done and like other people around me, that's really just helped me along the way, just show me that I can do really anything I want to, as long as I just put the work in. So they've opened like the biggest window for me for being able to go in college and pursue almost any career I want to. So that's definitely helped major. And I can't think of any other way that it would have helped me.
What advice would you give somebody going to kids camp or young adults camp or just any COPS event for the first time? Like what advice would you give them?
Say don't be nervous. Like don't be nervous at all because everyone there has something that like kind of relates to you, and they're all there to help you. They want to do everything in their power to help you. And even though, yes, some bad did happen, they want to show you like the positive side, and they're going to try to help you be successful in life as much as they can. And the number one thing I'd say is that they care. Like that's the number one thing. And don't be afraid to talk to anybody, because you're going to have a lot of people coming up and talk to you anyway. So you really don't have anything to worry about when you're there. And just try to make the most of it, because like in my personal experience, like I've always had like the best time. So definitely just, I say don't be afraid and just let it happen, and try to talk to as much people as possible.
James, what about you? Like, what advice would you give anybody going into their first event?
Definitely like piggybacking on Chandler, man. Don't be afraid. It's a great opportunity, awesome opportunity. You get to meet some of the best people in the world when it comes to mentors and counselors. And of course, you know, your first year will probably be a little timid. You might not know who to talk to. You might be clinged around mom or, you know, dad, whoever's there with you. But I promise you, you'll be there for a good time, and you'll be ready and be upset when it's time to leave, because you'll be like, man, I got to wait a whole another 365 to see y'all again. That's kind of the mindset I had. It was like, man, I'm sick of waiting the whole year to see y'all. And so kind of would tell them that, and then kind of give them some of my experiences on what I have and what's helped me, and just kind of letting them know, like, these are lifelong friends. Even though you see them maybe once a year, man, once you see them once, it's like, man, you can't wait to see them again. And another prime example would be like, for me, like, I met Jaleel. Jaleel's probably like a year younger than me. But ironically, once we got to college, like, you know, as our age got closer and closer, we kind of started spending more time together at camp. And then once we got to college, we became basically rivals, because he went to LSU. I was at Clemson, and we ended up playing each other, you know, in football for the national championship. So I went to go stay with him for like probably like almost a week. And we went to the game. I took one of my best friends from home, and that's another thing. It's like, once you're embedded with cops, I mean, you're able to bring people along that have nothing to do with it, and just kind of giving them an open mind to see like what my life is kind of like, and how they can help maybe in sort of way, or how they can, you know, enjoy it just as much as I can. So bringing my best friend to go meet one of my Blue family best friends, that was an awesome moment. And we were able to just kind of kick it and chill, see the game. Jaleel took us around Louisiana. So just using some of my life personal experiences, that would be a definite no-brainer on how much C.O.P.S has helped me, and why it definitely will help you. So that would be my pitch.
Guys, that's really all I've got. I appreciate both of you for being willing to sit down with us and kind of speak on your experiences and kind of take us through your grief journey, you know, kind of from start to where you're at now. And thank you all for listening. And that does it for this episode of the C.O.P.S podcast.